U.S. women's national team looking every bit like the #1 team in the world in Columbus, Ohio on Saturday in the first of 2 friendlies against Uzbekistan. The scoreline 9-1, and will we see more goals tonight in Chester, Pennsylvania? It is a beautiful night for take 2 between the U.S. and Uzbekistan. Who or what might catch head coach Vlatko Andonovski's eye tonight? We shall see. ESPN's coverage of U.S. soccer is presented by Volkswagen. And as we welcome you into the booth, I think it's pretty incredible that not a single World Cup trophy has been won or an Olympic gold medal has been won by the U.S. without at least one of these 2 on the field. I'm glad they let me join the party. Jen Hildreth, Carly Lloyd is
Carly Lloyd in the house.
And that is Julie Foudy. You know her as well. Carly, you're supposed to be retired. You're still working pretty hard.
Working very hard. I'm now on the other side, the dark side.
Yeah, we roll into practice yesterday, and there's Carly already there. Beat us to practice, hanging with Lindsay, feet up. You can't get away from it.
No, always love the game, but I'm done. I'm done playing.
All right. Well, we're glad to have you here for a little while, and let's get you right to that starting 11 for the U.S. There are 4 changes for Vlatko Andonovski's starting 11 tonight, including Aubrey Kingsbury making her debut in goal.
Naomi Girma also making her debut on the back line. Sophia Huerta in for Kelly O'Hara on that right side. Sanchez getting her 3rd career start in for an injured Lindsay Horan. And that front 3, Carly, that dynamic 3, still the same.
Yes, Vlatko's making a statement here, going with the same front 3, Smith, Macario, and Pugh. They have been deadly on the attack, scoring a lot of goals, creating a lot of chances. So this should be another exciting night for all 3 of them.
3rd straight match that those 3 all start together up top. Sophia Smith might have stolen some of the headlines with the hat trick on Saturday, but Julie, I know you were really impressed with Mallory Pugh as well.
Mallory Pugh just had her way against Uzbekistan on Saturday. She pops up on the left, she's on the right. They're playing that high line, gives her a ton of space, and she took advantage of it. Here she is on that left-hand side, finding Sophia Smith with this beautiful ball, and that run by Rose Lavelle that pulls in the keeper. Here she is on that right side. There's that high line, a lot of green space in behind. When you give Malpew that kind of space, this is what she will do with it. Some interesting decisions by the Uzbekistan keeper in terms of coming off her line, but here that perfectly placed ball, Ashley Hatch can't finish it, but Malpew looking very good, very confident, leading the team right now with 4 goals.
Well, we certainly love to celebrate goals. I know you love to celebrate goals, Carly, but right now this is also a pretty important time for this U.S. team as they prepare for qualifying for both the World Cup and Olympics that's coming up at the end of the summer. So what's the mindset for this team?
This is an opportunity. Every game is an opportunity because they're not going to get many chances before qualifying. So this summer is very, very important. I know they're playing, Uzbekistan for 2nd time tonight, but this is another opportunity for the pairings, to all grow and get after it.
Yeah, get those relationships going. Well, let's show you how we think they're going to line up tonight. There were 6 changes, Julie, made from what we saw on Saturday.
We think they'll still go with a back 5. It looks like a 3 there. They got the 2 wing backs, so it will become a 5 often. A 5-4-1, trying to go with fresh legs with all those changes, given what happened on Saturday.
Well, as Carly Lloyd told us yesterday, you never take for granted an opportunity to join the national team. You know what? You never take for granted a chance to see this #1 team in the world either. It is coming your way. Kickoff coming next against Uzbekistan as ESPN's coverage of U.S. soccer is presented by Volkswagen. Fans ready to go here from Subaru Park, home to the unbeaten Philadelphia Union in MLS, but tonight hosting the U.S. women's national team as they face Uzbekistan. What a special moment this is for Aubrey Kingsbury. You may have known her as Aubrey Bledsoe, got married, changed the last name, but this is her international debut. Oldest goalkeeper ever at 30 years old to make her debut. And Naomi Girma, #1 overall pick in the 2022 NWSL draft by San Diego, also suiting up for the very first time.
Ah, the emotion of that moment.
Right?
I know, that first cap. I love it for both of them.
Plenty of special moments to be found, really, for both teams. Quite a experience, I would imagine, as well for Uzbekistan. This country coming over ranked number 48 in the FIFA rankings, getting an opportunity to play in front of a couple of great crowds here in the United States. They are in white. Here comes the U.S. Those red and navy stripes. Rose Lavelle wearing the captain's armband for the first time, sending it into the box right away. And there is goal number 1.
Almost beat Ashley Hatch's 24-second goal that happened in Australia. There's Rose Lavelle popping into the half space. They want to find her and faced up. And the own goal as you reach is always the killer. And this one will be especially disheartening for Uzbekistan given that 9-1 finish on Saturday. They are thinking, come out strong, hold on, stay compact, and then that happens to Uzbekistan, and that is a mental killer.
Well, remember, Uzbekistan held the U.S. without a goal for the first 26 minutes in their first meeting on Saturday. This time it was 24 seconds, and they concede, so certainly not the start they were looking for in this second time around against the U.S. And a couple of new players, as we mentioned, 6 of them in this starting 11 for Uzbekistan, including on the back line. Man in goal. Katarina Macario has just been on fire. No matter what jersey she's been wearing or what competition she's been competing in. Macario wearing number 20 for the U.S. there at the middle, that striker position. Plays for Olympique Lyon. One of only 2 players on this current U.S. roster not to play domestically in the NWSL. Sofia Huerta, one of the changes Vlatko Andonovski making tonight, getting the start. And Sophia Smith wearing number 11, such a bright young talent. It's been a lot of fun to watch. Hat trick, as we mentioned, her last time out on Saturday. Here's Macario. On the turn, out of bounds. Corner kick coming up for the U.S.
We heard Carly talking about Macario, Sophia Smith, and Malpew in the open. But Vlatko Andonovski really wanting to get those 3 and Rose Lavelle and Lindsey Horan, had she been healthy, a lot of time and minutes together. This is when you form that chemistry and those relationships he's been talking about.
Mallory Pugh will take the first corner, puts it on the ground for Macario. Nobody could dance over a ball like Rose Lavelle. It goes out of bounds for a U.S. throw. Ashley Sanchez in the starting lineup, sends it toward the goal, but side netting. You talk about those relationships, times to build. Lindsey Horan, who you see right there in the middle. Jalen Howell, Amani Dorsey not dressing tonight for the U.S. And we saw Lindsey yesterday. This was just really precautionary resting of her more than anything. Vlatko Andonovski understanding a difficult stretch coming up just with going back to your club teams. And Horan will head back overseas. She also plays for Lyon.
Vlatko Andonovski looking on. He has to be pleased because I think the biggest challenge when you win a game 9-1 is the mindset going into that next game, knowing this is a team you're going to run over. And yet with this young group, there's so much to prove. And so he's saying to them, prove it to me. I want to see you consistently, not just one-offs, but consistently making a difference in games.
We're going to talk a lot more about this at halftime when Carly Lloyd joins us again. But you think about some of the players who are not here and who were available. Kristen Press, Alex Morgan, Tobin Heath. Megan Rapinoe has been injured, but she was not called in for She Believes. So there is some heavy competition, especially in those attacking positions as we look toward CONCACAF qualifying, which will happen in Mexico in July, a tournament that for the first time ever will serve as qualifying for both the World Cup and the Olympics.
Yeah, and that's why that summer competition is so huge. If you win it, you automatically also qualify for the Olympics. And the Olympics, of course, only an 8-team tournament compared to the World Cup, which is now at 32. Only 2 teams from CONCACAF go to the Olympics, so those are 2 precious spots for 2024.
Uzbekistan coming out of the Asian Federation. This is a team that has not yet qualified for any of the major tournaments, World Cup or Olympics. Andy Sullivan rather forcefully clears it away. Kamila Zaripova, number 20, the player in the middle, who unfortunately committed the own goal in the opening seconds. Officially at 24 seconds, Julie, for that first goal.
Oh, it was tied with Ashley Hatch then, huh?
It was.
Oh, by my naked eye, I think I saw 25.5.
You see the head coach for Uzbekistan, Midori Honda, played internationally for Japan in the first Women's World Cup back in 1991. And certainly a daunting challenge trying to bring this group in here and play the United States. Macario gets past one defender, then it's cleared into the stands.
And you saw Midori Honda in that first game play a really high line, which against a front 3 like the U.S. is starting tonight as well. Sophia Smith-Malpew and Katarina Macario is a dangerous game to play. A little bit deeper this game. You wondered if they were going to stay so high. Maybe that works if you're a Japanese team with the technical ability that you have, but when you're going against the United States and you're Uzbekistan, not wise to play that high a line.
Alana Cook serves it out wide for Emily Fox. And here is Pugh. Mallory Pugh looking for Lavelle. Pugh with 10 chances created last time around against Uzbekistan, which since that statistic has been kept for the U.S. national team, that ties for the most.
All over the field, really. Sophia Smith acknowledging that in her post-game comment, saying, look, yeah, I got the hat trick, but I want to thank my teammate Malpew for putting it all on a platter for me. I loved that.
You mentioned it earlier, but Mallory Pugh, 4 goals, 4 assists in 2022 for the U.S. That leads the team. She also is the current leader in the NWSL Challenge Cup, going on with 4 goals, playing for the Chicago Red Stars. That tournament precedes the beginning of the NWSL regular season, which will begin at the end of the month.
And how about Malpew at 23 years old today is the most capped player in the starting lineup.
Pugh driving it into the box. Yeah, that does tell you something about the youth in this starting 11. In fact, it is the youngest starting lineup for the U.S. since 2007. But at some point, there has to be a changing of the guard, at least to some extent. There are only 2 players in this starting 11 who played in the Olympics, who were on that Olympic roster last summer, and only 2 from the 2019 World Cup championship winning team.
Seeing the U.S. with that high press, had a lot of success with that on Saturday. Uzbekistan coughing up the ball in their back third. Kat Macario almost pulling that one off for the United States.
There's Alana Cook, who's Really become a mainstay in the center of the defense. A lot of injuries and players out at the moment. What a touch from Lavelle. Another beauty. Those connections touch tight. There was a foul just outside the area, as seen by a referee, Natalie Simon.
And this is the exact type of movement the U.S. wants to see from their left back, and Emily Fox just getting forward as much as she can. Rose Lavelle constantly on that front line. Fox joining her, a little give and go. Let's see where that contact was made. Yep, just outside the box. Good call by the referee.
Seeing Emily Fox attacking, something you might need to get used to. A very attack-minded outside back. Former frontline player in her youth days before she went to North Carolina. And now, will we get a little Macario magic on the free kick? Macario through the wall, off the post and in!
A big wall in front of Uzganova. Can't quite see it. And Macario whipping that off the post with just enough pace to get by her. And there it is. Pretty easy for the United States. 2-0.
Katarina Macario, 22 years old, a star that has been in the making, in the waiting to join this U.S. national team for quite some time. Her story is a pretty incredible one. You and I knew about it when she was playing at Stanford, born in Brazil, moved to the United States, and there was no doubt she knew she wanted to wear the red, white, and blue. She had to wait some time, bide her time until she got that opportunity. Chance off the left foot, it bounces out of bounds. That was Sophia Smith. Sets up another corner.
Yeah, I remember going back to our Stanford days, Jen, when we would sit down with Kat and for college cups, and we'd say, you know, any debate on USA versus Brazil? And she'd be like, no, USA all the way. She had no debate. Coming over, as you said, when she was 12 years old, she said, this is my country. I cannot wait to play for them, hopefully one day. And here she is, the young star.
Now we're all getting a glimpse of just how lucky we are that she made that decision. Into the box, the header, up and over. Good to see Sofia Huerta getting some time out there as well. 29-year-old, plays in the NWSL with OL Reign and is a somewhat recently converted outside back, more of an attacking player. Tried to stick with that earlier. Another player who opted to change federations had appeared for Mexico, but she wanted to follow her dream and play for the U.S.
And there is that high press again, reaping the reward.
Still on it. Chance, left-footed shot is good. It's Pugh! What do you like about this goal, this setup, Julie?
Well, the high press wins it back. Rose Lavelle taking her time, gets a little lucky there with Malpugh singing that through, but she does the rest. Doesn't hit it first time. A little back heel by Kat Macario off the deflection, and then Malpugh is going to clean it up. Look at that little back heel. That's no mistake on that. It was the deflection that Macario then heels to Pugh, who does the rest. Again, they pick it up off the press.
You like this front line? Here they come again. Sophia Smith and a sliding Lavelle. Can't quite get there.
And it's really a pressing and attacking front five when you got Lavelle coming as much as she does. Again, pick your poison up top. So many options with Uzbekistan just pulled all over the place. Why they continue to try and play this out of the back short as they just did, I am not sure, because it just puts them in a world of hurt.
Yeah, they play right into that high pressure. Another free kick coming for the U.S. And you think both teams really, Julie, are probably breaking this down into little micro goals of what they want out of the game. So maybe Uzbekistan says, hey, we want to work at building out of the back. Well, they're giving it their best shot, but certainly it is playing into the U.S.'s hands. For the U.S. on the other side, yeah, they've got some goals already, but you expect they've got to just keep attacking to get this time.
Yeah, and they're going to keep attacking because that's what they know the staff wants to see, that they are changing games in a positive way. And I think, honestly, it's super easy to get complacent when you know you're playing a team that's very much not to your level. And part of that, too, is a mental test of, okay, let's go out and make sure we have the same mindset and are as sharp as we can be.
Can Macario do it again? Two-time Herman Trophy winner at Stanford. Will drive it, but not on target. Frustrated with herself on that attempt.
And mind you, in goal, you have Uzganova, who's only 21 years old. Right, they've gone with 6 changes, as we talked about at the top of the show. Fresher legs, yes, but very inexperienced team out there as well.
Uzbekistan trying desperately to keep the ball for any amount of time. Possession in the first matchup between these two teams heavily in favor of the U.S., as you might imagine, close to 71% for the game. They outshot, the U.S. did, Uzbekistan 34-1. 17 of those shots on goal.
You know, the exciting thing about this lineup, too, is you have this front 5 that are all so creative in Rose and Ashley Sanchez, right? Insert Lindsey Horan into that mix, of course. That front 5 is so dynamic. On top of that, Uzbekistan is having to deal with those outside backs that are flying forward, and Emily Fox on the left side, Sofia Huerta, and they've been given the license to go. Again, very creative, excellent on the ball type of players. And so really on all lines, you have these offensive weapons that are coming at you. And that always hasn't been the case for the United States.
Is this the front line of the future? Or is it the front line of the present even, maybe, for the U.S.?
Oh, I absolutely think there is going to be this 3 in the mix. I mean, the question is, and we'll talk and get into this at halftime with Carly, as you said, is you've got in the wings some great players, and Alex Morgan, Kristen Press, of course, Tobin Heath, Megan Rapinoe if she's healthy again.
Mistake in the back. Smith on it, but right at the goalkeeper. And Uzganova able to make the save.
Again, just sloppy from Uzbekistan, and they're just going to get punished all day for this type of... Actually, Sophia Smith let him off the hook there. But why they're trying to build from the back in that situation, again, I don't quite understand. Set play higher up the field.
Sofia Huerta on the ball. There's so much movement amongst that front 3 too. Pugh and Smith constantly switching sides, making different types of runs. Here is Girma, first ever cap or international appearance for the U.S. tonight. She and Alana Cook re-teaming up, former Stanford teammates for 1 year. They overlap together for the Cardinal. Emily Fox finally stopped, but there is Lavelle to pick up the ball. Left foot across. Dangerous touch out for a corner.
And this is the stride that Rose Lavelle has made in her game. We know how good she is offensively, but now she's just picking up balls defensively as well. Pressing, covering so much ground on both sides of the ball.
Third corner kick of the match for the U.S. Another ball on the ground by Pugh. She gets back to it. Huerta, back post. Macario in front of the goal, and the save is made. Player down though for Uzbekistan. Looks to be number 19, I believe, Nazima Kamotoeva.
This one kept alive. Cook on that back post, keeping it alive as we saw her do so well in the first game. 2 assists. And Macario unlucky a bit on that one.
Imagine one of the challenges, Julie, for some of these attacking players in particular is when you're getting all of these chances to keep reminding yourself you've got to be crisp, you got to be tight, as if it was your only chance of the match. You know, I think that's something that Sophia Smith talked to us about when we spoke with her yesterday, that there were some she missed.
Yeah, and Mal Pugh said the same thing. Like, I could have been sharper in front of goal. And this is after a 9-1 win, mind you, right? I should have been sharper in front of goal. And that's the growth mentality you love to see in this younger group. They're constantly, when you talk to them individually, when you hear them talk on press conference calls, they're saying, oh my gosh, yes, I'm feeling more confident, but I'm not comfortable, and I love that because I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm getting pushed, I'm getting stretched. And they're like sponges in terms of how much they want to take in.
ESPN's coverage of U.S. soccer is presented by the all-electric Volkswagen ID4 and in part by Jim Beam. Please drink responsibly. A rare foray into the attacking third in this first half for Uzbekistan. And in case you are wondering, by the way, it is a tough time right now to try to find opponents to play. The U.S. had some others lined up that probably would have been more challenging for them, but with COVID really still being a part of the problem and thinking about travel and all that entails, it's made things difficult. Other qualifying tournaments going on around the world. So the U.S. very much aware that these matches are precious and they want to get the most out of them. There are 2 more coming up in the June FIFA window for the U.S. And then after that, it is on to Mexico for qualifying.
And on top of that, you have, so you had you had World Cup qualifiers in this April window, so that knocks out for UEFA, that knocks out all of Europe. There's 50 teams gone. You had the COVID concerns for some Asian teams. They had a top Asian team brought in that couldn't come because of quarantine restrictions when they got home. And then you also have Euros this summer, so the June window is shut as well to all of Europe. It's tough to schedule.
Macario brings it down. There is just so much power packed in Katarina Macario. Much more to her game than just power, but you've gotten to see a few glimpses of it, I think.
She does so many little things so good too. Her angles, her movement, her touches in the seam, her ability to pull all the strings like a puppeteer from that 9 position.
She lays it off this time for Smith, who is down on the ground.
And that's exactly what Kat Macario wants to do when she gets it at her feet. She faces, she tries to find a little threaded ball through, and has had great success with that against Uzbekistan.
The goalkeeper, Uzganova, sends it toward midfield. Pugh picks it up. Mallory Pugh across, Lavelle right at the keeper, another one, this she puts away. Wearing the captain's armband for for the first time, Rose Lavelle, welcome to the scoring party.
You can see the frustration on Uzbekistan's face. The goalkeeper for Uzbekistan, Malpew, trying to find it across. Rose Lavelle gets gifted with that first one. A second bite at the apple there. Coming back, really should have finished it that first time. Uzbekistan with a good save. But what a cheeky little chip this one is. Coming out, recognizing, I just need a little bit on this one. So nice.
19th career goal for Rose Lavelle, wearing a U.S. uniform. And Alana Cook will give Aubrey Kingsbury a little something to handle. Not the easiest ball, mind you, back toward the keeper in her first start, first appearance. Emily Fox wowing the crowd on the far side. These minutes so important for players like Ashley Sanchez here too, who's getting an opportunity with Lindsay Horan getting some rest. Pugh has been such a handful. Emily Fox, 23 years old, was the #1 overall pick in the 2021 NWSL draft. In fact, 4 of the last 5 #1 overall picks in the NWSL in the starting 11 for the U.S. The only one missing is Tierna Davidson, who probably would be in there if she was not hurt. So that shows you a little bit about these highly heralded young players coming into their own, both at their clubs and now at the national team level. Lavelle with some time. Lavelle! She's got 2!
And this is where you're not even 30 minutes in. 5-0, you start to feel sorry for Uzbekistan because Rose Lavelle is just having her way. Look at all that space. They keep dropping, they keep dropping. You don't do that to Rose Lavelle. No one steps. A little shimmy inside, fakes it once, fakes it again, gets them spinning, and that is just a really nice finish. But far too much time for a player of that caliber at the top of the box.
Gurma. We'll go back to Kingsbury. Special night for those two, both earning their first cap for the U.S. Macario, one touch over for Smith, and back she gets it. Gurma, a little too forceful coming through for the ball. Whistled for the foul. That center back position, certainly something to keep an eye on as the U.S. moves forward. Got Becky Sauerbrunn, who's been a stalwart back there, has been dealing with an injury. Tierna Davidson now out with the ACL injury, so she's out for a while. Pugh weaving her way through. Who wants it? It'll be Lavelle. Back to Pugh, crisscrossing. Lavelle sitting on a hat trick. Not this time. Player down for Uzbekistan. And I think it's got to be tough, Julie. You mentioned it. You start to feel bad for Uzbekistan. I mean, I think the U.S. players, as competitive and driven as we know they all are, I'm sure they feel it too, but at the same time, they have to do this. They have to, as contested as these spots are.
Absolutely. I mean, you're not going to take your foot off the pedal at all. And mind you, when the fresh legs come off the bench for the United States, they have something to prove as well. Here is the contact with Uzganova,
Yeah, looked
her
like
own goalkeeper, just gets caught there.
yeah, that was Shahida Tojidinova.
Well done.
Much as I tell myself, I'm
Really good.
trying to get it right.
I'm
but
really
anyway,
proud
that
of
is. Thank you. We are trying our best. And it's great to see her back on her feet. Most of these players for Uzbekistan do play domestically in their own country, in their own league, which is actually run by their federation, which was founded in 1996. 4 of them play in Turkey professionally. So their opportunities to come together, I imagine, also fairly limited. They did play in the Turkish Women's Cup back in February, but those are their only 2 other matches thus far in the calendar year.
They are building a new soccer facility in Uzbekistan, I saw. 3 fields, 250 players can stay there, accommodations. So little youth development happening, hopefully.
Well, it's great to see. Great to hear. And Macario is thrown down. That will set up a free kick. She's taken the first 2, Katerina Macario. Scored off one of them in the 12th minute of this match. A couple of goals by Rose Lavelle, 2 minutes apart. Mallory Pugh with a goal in the 14th minute, and then an own goal 24 seconds in accounts for our scoreline so far. Just a 3-person wall, it looks like. And Lavelle and Macario licking their chops. Eventually, Lavelle on the ground. Oh, it was let through, but still alive. That one should have been put away. Maybe it still will. Huerta toward the back post. Sanchez came flying in for the header. Couldn't connect.
We've seen those balls from Huerta many times in NWSL. She was the assist leader, co-leader in the league last season. Whipping that one in. But you're right, Sophia Smith really had the opportunity to put that one away on her own, I think.
Good to be unselfish, but it's good to be selfish sometimes too.
You could see they scouted that right away. Sophia Smith thinking that trailing run with Sanchez is going to be a little more fruitful.
Uzbekistan once again trying to get themselves out of the trouble they create and build from the back. And they do this time. Little momentum moving forward. Quickly snuffed out by Andy Sullivan. Andy Sullivan, number 17, one of 5 players to start every match for the U.S. so far in this calendar year. Another important position to keep an eye on, and that holding midfield role, Julie Ertz, congratulations, by the way, recently announcing her pregnancy, so she's out. Crystal Dunn also out with pregnancy, thinking about that back line for the U.S. Lavelle has Sanchez. Sanchez, a little skip hop over the ball, but the defender did well, stayed with her, did enough to allow the goalkeeper, Uzganova, to come over and get it.
Again, the threat of that double 10 with Rose Lavelle and Sanchez making those little slashing runs. And Rose Lavelle lifts it just a little. If she plays that on the ground, It ain't getting through, but she lifts it just a little to get over Uzbekistan's, the defender's foot. Really good by those two.
Pugh had a lot of traffic to work through. Girma, what will these minutes tonight mean for her and her confidence and opportunities going forward? Just getting started on her U.S. journey. Lavelle outside the foot for Smith. Big save, well done by Uzganova. So many numbers on the attack. Sanchez stopped in her tracks. You think you've got them all covered up, think again, says the U.S. as wave after wave of attacking players coming through. Uzbekistan looking to make a change. Actually have 3 players ready to check in there on the sideline. They are allowed 6 in these friendlies. So Yıldız Nabiva, number 2, defender playing that wing-back position coming off the field. And Ziota Irisboeva, number 9, a 24-year-old, comes into the match. A couple more to fill you in on as we move along. Maftuna Panjiva also on for Uzbekistan, number 5. And number 17 you see there, Tanzila Zabiva, your 3 changes. Pugh on the move again, takes it herself. Tell you what, Uzganova has done well to get a hand to a few of these. Could be worse. Those 3 players who came on for Uzbekistan, by the way, all of them started in the match on Saturday against the U.S. Smith, no.
You just saw number 17, Zarbiva, come in that right back position, and same problem they had on Saturday. She doesn't quite step to Fox, and then she leaves this gap behind her for Mal Pugh to just exploit, and it's a constant gap for Uzbekistan. She gets caught in that no man's land between the 2 lines. You got to either get to Fox or drop if you can't get pressure on ball, and it's way too slow for Uzbekistan, and that is going to be a feast for Mal Pugh on that left side. There she is again.
Another ball in toward Macario and out.
Again, playing high, a pocket for Mal Pugh. She's just going to stay in that wide pocket.
ESPN's coverage of Major League Soccer continues Sunday afternoon, and Carlos Vela, first place LAFC, hosts Sporting Kansas City. Coverage for that one begins at 3:30 Eastern, leading up to kick at 4. LAFC first place in the West, mind you. Philadelphia, number 1 in the East. We are on the Union's home field tonight in Chester. Fox just pops up all over the field, doesn't she? That's your left back curling around the right side. Takes a shot.
We spoke to her last night. She said, my goal is, and Emily Fox, she said, my goal is not to just be a good defender in that outside back position. You're called on to do so much more. And they are in the modern game. You got to be playmaking. You got to be getting forward. You got to be changing the game offensively.
Influential in the attack, I believe, were the words she used, is what she wanted to do, not just be a token presence when she gets up there from that outside back position, but to be influential in that attacking third.
And Zlatko Andonovski will tell you she is the best on the team. He would even say the best he's seen at solving pressure from that outside back position.
Somewhere Anson Dorrance is clapping his hands and cheering, I'm sure. We heard him, North Carolina, longtime head coach, singing the praises of Emily Fox long before she got to the U.S. and Zlatko Andonovski. Well, coming up at halftime, Carly Lloyd back in the booth with Julie and I as we'll look back at the first half. And we'll look ahead to what the future may hold for some of the biggest names in American soccer. Who will be on that qualifying roster? Tough decisions to make. We'll let you know what Julie and Carly think about it coming up at halftime. Five goals so far in this first half for the U.S. The scoreline was 9-1 in their first meeting on Saturday. First ever meeting, in fact. First time these two countries had ever played at any level in women's soccer.
And let me tell you how irked they were by that one goal,
yeah.
The U.S. team. You could even see it on air. I saw immediately Alyssa Nair and Kelly O'Hara talking when the final whistle blew, and I could see them like in this debate, and then Kelly goes, yeah, that was my bad. She was mad about missing her mark at the near post.
First goal allowed in over 2 years on home soil by the U.S. And yeah, it was off a corner kick, off a set piece, and a player open in the box for Uzbekistan. There's Kelly O'Hara, Midge Purse next to her. See what the second half may bring in terms of changes. I imagine we shall see a few by the U.S. Corner kick number 5 now. Pew ready. Good ball. Headed back to Macario for the shot. Nice setup. Didn't get the finish.
Really been tasking those outside backs. This one, Sofia Huerta getting ahead on it to contribute in that back line, to contribute on these set pieces. Heard Alana Cook talk about it yesterday as well, getting 2 assists in that game on Saturday, about how she has really made it one of her goals. She's been watching a lot more film, watching a lot more games in terms of how she can make an offensive impact in those set pieces.
A little too much contact by the U.S. Alana Cook also talked about how beneficial it has been for her since coming over to the NWSL. She's in her 2nd year with OL Reign. Named to the best 11 last season. Lavelle on the move. It's a corner on the far side.
Again, those runs from midfield from Rose Lavelle and Ashley Sanchez just not getting tracked by Uzbekistan. Having a lot of success in behind.
Nope. It's like a pitcher shaking off the sign. If you didn't like what you saw, try something else. Sanchez. Decisions to make. Couple players there. Cook almost on cue. Diving header, not on target.
Always seems to be on the end of those balls, though, doesn't she, Alana Cook? Kept alive. Nice little ball in by Sanchez to float it to the back post.
.59 defender, good target in the air for the U.S. Smith.
It's good, it's good.
Ball still there for the taking. Now Huerta tries to split a couple of defenders. Sullivan takes it away.
Again, the press from the United States just not giving Uzbekistan a chance to even clear their line.
Sanchez maybe go at it herself. Lavelle took a look over the shoulder. Macario, three around her, no problem! Macario puts it away for her second.
We've seen her do this effortlessly at Lyon as well. Finds a little gap, holds it, finds a half window, and then cranks it. She's got a second one that's trying to cover. Shimmies one way, finds that little gap, and then there it is, the back of the net. How many times have we seen her do that over in France as well?
Macario, a goal in each of her last 4 games with Lyon. 3 goals in her last 3 Champions League games, and she has been on a tear for the U.S. as well. 2 goals tonight, 3 goals in her last 2 for the U.S. coming in. So a fairly successful first half, I think you'd say. 6-0 our scoreline. The U.S. out in front of Uzbekistan. Carly Lloyd, Julie Foudy coming your way after the break. ESPN's coverage of U.S. soccer is presented by Volkswagen. And say hello to Kristie Mewis, one of the 2 Mewis sisters on this U.S. team. Sam Mewis out with injury, but Kristie Mewis checking into the match, as is Trinity Rodman, the much heralded youngster, only teenager on this roster, just 19 years old, plays for the Washington Spirit, and is an awful lot of fun to watch. We'll see what she can do, and this is just her 3rd international appearance. Rodman coming on in place of Mallory Pugh. Had a goal in the first half, one of those 6 for the U.S. Here is Rodman. Another one of those attacking players that we were talking about at halftime, trying to make the most of her time. Fight for the spot. There is a player down injured for Uzbekistan. It is Irodachona Todaliva, number 6. 2 changes for Uzbekistan at the half as well, including their goalkeeper. They changed to the goalkeeper Tolovava, who started the first match.
We'll see with this switch to Kristie Mewis in midfield for Rose Lavelle too, if that they play Mewis a little deeper as they did on Saturday. Playing almost like a double 6 alongside Andy Sullivan, with just Ashley Sanchez higher up. And not because Uzbekistan is presenting an offensive threat, but again, Vlatko just looking at different formations. He's also going to send those outside backs a little bit higher. Sofia Huerta on the right, still Fox on the left.
Sophia Smith. Well, that was a tough angle for Sanchez to reach her foot back and try to get on.
So much ease for these U.S. players and their ability to turn the corner and get around the corner just behind Sanchez. A fraction, can't quite get her hips around that one. Behind her a little bit. But more importantly, I think what they're looking at as well is the willingness to get around that corner from Malpew in the first half, Smith in the first and now second, and now that's what they're gonna want to see from Rodman as well on the left side.
Kristie Mewis has a beautiful left foot, drives it right toward Macario. Emily Fox, Naomi Girma, Alana Cook. Sofia Huerta on that far side has the ball now. Back line for the U.S. Let's start this second half. Rodman in the middle. Macario backheels it to Sanchez. Mewis. It's been quite a journey for Kristie Mewis. Really a resurgence for her getting back with the U.S. national team over the last couple of years. Had her first cap back in 2013. And really had to earn her way back here now. Once again, still trying to fight for one of those highly coveted spots in the midfield.
Such an incredible story, though, to come back from knee surgery and injury and fight her way back into this lineup alongside her sister, Sam. And then to be able, with all this youth transition, to be able to hold that spot is another part of the story.
Macario scored off a free kick in the 12th minute. A little further out, bending ball, header, missed by Mewis.
Kristie Mewis wide open on this one. No one giving her any pressure from Uzbekistan. Really should do better with this, getting it at least on target.
Fox for Rodman. Trinity Rodman making her debut at the She Believes Cup, putting it toward the goal in a dangerous area on that back post. Out for a corner.
Again, look at the gap on that left-hand side. Zarbima caught too high, wide open. Rodman, again, as Malpew had in that first half, is gonna have her way. I think she's trying to cross that, just didn't quite get around it.
It's Macario this time from the corner. Goalkeeper way out to punch it down. Has to hustle back in position, but Fox is going to play it back anyway through Girma. U.S. working around all parts of the field. Macario takes her time, puts it across, 2 runners there. And this is where it's what we talked about at halftime, Julie. You cannot get complacent. You have to still take advantage of every opportunity, and the U.S. has missed a few.
Yeah, not quite as sharp as we've seen them in front of goal. Again, that outside channel wide open now on the right side. Both of them lunging at it. Tulovova maybe just getting a touch on it. That saves the day for Uzbekistan, but that is the challenge too when you start to make some changes in the lineup as well. Is that rhythm is off a little bit and you gotta jump start it again. Another challenge they're gonna be looking at with these players is coming off the bench. Can you bring a game-changing mentality and intensity?
2 subs at halftime for the U.S. Christy Mewis in the midfield for Rose Lavelle, and Trinity Rodman up top. Ball in the middle, headed down, but wide. Huerta once again.
Yeah, outside back to outside back. That's Fox on one side. There she is, that left back playing your right back. And again, this is with that substitution of Mewis going a little deeper. He's tasking those outside backs to push in a higher position because now you have 2 covering those center backs in midfield. So you've got that block of 4, that box of 4 in the middle that gives them the freedom to go.
Rodman thought she kept it in. Not quite. ESPN's coverage of U.S. soccer is presented by the all-electric Volkswagen ID4. It's just so tough for Uzbekistan to even get the ball out of their defensive end of the field. But no goals yet since halftime for the U.S. Uzbekistan conceding in the first, I'm sorry, Julie, what was it, 25.1 seconds
Thank
of
you.
match?
I was 0.4 off. So close with my naked eye.
Sullivan out to Fox. Back in the middle for Macario. A lot of pace on the ball. Macario volleys it into the gloves of the goalkeeper who came on at halftime. Substitution, Lelo Tulovova. With that slight shift, Julie, with the U.S. formation-wise, and some of the substitutions in the second half, anything particularly that you are looking for from this group?
Well, it's interesting that outside back is taking such a high aggressive position for the United States that it's a forefront when they're building, right? And it crowds that front line a little bit when you get in there a little bit too early. And so you're not seeing the same fluidity and freedom of that front line. And that's something that they're going to want to work on, of course, because you do want that outside back in that aggressive position. But it feels a little more stagnant right now. And as we mentioned earlier, I mean, you have the players that can be so aggressive on the offensive side from every single line, even your center backs, that what's demanded of them in the modern game as well in terms of playmaking and setting play. There's the four who didn't dress tonight: Bella Bixby, Armani Dursey, Lindsey Horan, and Jalen Howell.
Great to see Jalen Howell on the field. Get her first international goal on Saturday. Came on as a sub in the second half. Rookie in the NWSL, number 2 pick this past year out of Florida State. 2-time national champ there for Mark Krikorian.
Someone just texted him, "Get off your phone. They're showing you." I feel like I went into mall mode. I'm like,
yeah.
"Put your phone down and watch the game." What are you doing, girls? Come on.
Ashley Sanchez has some choices. Couple players there who wants it. Macario, open goal. Takes her time. Was not quite ready to pounce. Should she have been, Julie?
She
it was a tough angle. But
it was a very tight angle. That touch took her a little wide. We'll see on the replay, but yes, I think she could have pounced a little bit more. Even tried to lift it into that far corner.
right, because what you have to keep telling yourself is get another look at this chance, and I'll get back to that.
And a good run by Rodman to adjust on the outside there. Either one of them really could have had that. She looks up, her angle so wide. Could she have right there just bent it back post? That's what I thought she was originally going to do.
Because you have to think, you're getting all of these chances against Uzbekistan. But when you look ahead a few months, down to July in Mexico, and you're going to be in that qualifying tournament for the World Cup, are you going to get this many chances? And if you get that chance against a Canada, for example, do you need to put it away?
Oh, absolutely. Because you only get a finite amount against those top teams, Canada in particular.
A couple more changes, getting ready to check in. Names you should know. Pretty good showing for Emily Fox, I would say, as she comes out. Kelly O'Hara, Abby Dahlkemper. A little more veteran feel coming off the bench here with those two checking in, and O'Hara will take the place of Fox. And Alana Cook, who's been so solid there at center back, makes way for Abby Dahlkemper. Ball out for a corner.
So Girma and Dahlkemper, the pairing, of course, in San Diego as well for the Wave. And what a pairing that has been for them, and especially for Girma in terms of being able to learn from such a good player alongside of her, and a veteran player as well.
San Diego, one of two new expansion teams in the NWSL this year, along with Angel City out in LA. 10th corner for the U.S. Keeper out for it, punches it away. Talovova a little more aggressive, covering the box. Header right at the keeper. Trinity Rodman hunting for that first goal in a U.S. uniform.
Loads of space on that right side, just picking your poison. Trinity Rodman gets a good snap at it. Unlucky that it just goes right at Talovova. Really good shot stopper, Talovova, we saw on Saturday. Sometimes not as great in decision-making off her line, coming to balls, but really good in tight spaces. Could have been a lot more than 9 without some of the saves of Talovova on Saturday.
A little more veteran goalkeeper, at least in terms of age. Talovova, 24 years old, than Uzganova, who started the match. Talovova plays for Savinch. And crowd not liking Macario on the ground, and we have a yellow card.
There is the full tackle. You can see the frustration from the Uzbekistan players. Kat Macario so good at just turning those defenders from that 9 position.
Kamila Zaripova, the player booked. Also the player who committed the own goal. 25 seconds in. Macario asks the goalkeeper to come out for it again. She does. Rodman. Dahlkemper. Four changes made by Vlatko Ananovsky so far. You are allowed 6 in these matches in 3 substitution windows. Rodman gets it across. It's been a shutout so far in this second half by Uzbekistan. Chances have been there for the U.S., just not the finish.
Just not quite as sharp are they in that final. That ball's coming in. Smith trying to get around it. A hard one coming in with the outside of your right when it's bouncing up like that to bring that back down.
The U.S. scored 5 goals in the second half in their first meeting against Uzbekistan on Saturday. Had 7 different goal scorers in the match. First time the U.S. had done that since 2019 World Cup against Thailand. ESPN's coverage of Major League Soccer continues Sunday afternoon at LAFC hosting Sporting Kansas City. Coverage for that one begins at 3:30 Eastern, leading up to kick at 4. LAFC off to a great start, just suffered their first loss. Galaxy. O'Hara tracking it down, keeping it in. Kelly O'Hara, one of 6 Washington Spirit players on this 22-player roster called in by Vlatko Ananovsky for these 2 friendlies. The Spirit NWSL champions last year. Includes Trinity Rodman as well, who's up there up top in the attack. Came off the bench in the second half. So things to watch for in the second half. Do you get a little different look now? You've got a different center back pairing with Abby Dahlkemper coming in next to Naomi Girma. O'Hara outside back, Rodman into the attacking mix. Huerta getting up into that attack a lot more often in this second half.
So much time and space when they can find that switch to the weak side. Sofia Huerta didn't even have a white jersey around her within 20 yards. Has been putting so many good balls in. That one falls short. She's got to get it over that first defender.
Macario right into the gloves of Talovova.
Talovova has been good in this second half as well, Jen. Looks clean. Again, Uzbekistan trying to build from the back. They're not going to let that one die.
And another change at the ready. Now Sophia Smith will come off. Smith had the hat trick on Saturday. No goals tonight, but plenty of opportunities, very active up there in that attacking front three. Midge Purce coming into the match. So a few new partnerships and players to look out for. Purce and Macario, what a match she has had. 2 goals in the first half for Katarina Macario. And Ashley Hatch takes her place.
2 goals and assists, 5 goals in her last 3 games, 12 goals for Lyon, 6 in the Champions League. I mean, this kid is having a year. Zlatko Andonovski saying in the press conference actually a couple days ago, I couldn't believe he said it, he said she is on a path to be one of the best in the world. I was like, oh, don't say it, that's a lot of pressure. She is indeed, but don't put that on her yet.
Well, she's been playing with that for a while though, I think, right? I mean, her star has been on the rise since her time at Stanford, and her story became known of trying to become eligible to be able to play for the US. And it's just so rewarding. She is just such a
nice human.
Humble.
Yep.
Wonderful young lady, and
she's a Cardinal.
She is.
Of course.
2-time Herman Trophy winner there.
This is going to give him a different look too in Ashley Hatch. Golden Boot winner from NWSL of last season. 10 regular season goals, 11 goals on the season for Washington Spirit. And she's going to want to get on the end of balls a little bit more, get in behind the defense. She can also play and hold the ball as Kat Macario does so well. But she's going to slash a little bit more than Kat. And we've seen how good she is in so many different areas when she gets inside the box in terms of putting it in the back of the net.
Yeah, Hatch was brave for the goal that she had on Saturday. Came on as a sub, scored in the 86th minute with her head.
And you look at that stat, 30 shots to the United States, 0 to Uzbekistan. But you know what they're going to be looking at? The scoreline hasn't changed in the second half.
Rodman. And Talovova has done well. Some of them have been put right at her, but she's also been brave, coming out, cutting off crosses, owning that area in front of the goal. Her club team has won the most championships in that league's history, 12 of them. So has some championship experience.
You can hear Mewis on the boom mic saying, move the ball, quicker, quicker. She wants that speed of play and that switch to be a lot faster.
Understanding it's going to need to be moving forward for the U.S. Here is Rodman in the box! Trinity Rodman has her first goal in a U.S. uniform!
Sanchez frees herself up, finds a little seam that bounces off Hash gratuitously to Trinity Rodman, and there's no way she's gonna miss that from this distance. Tilanova trying to cut that angle, and Rodman doing really well to find the gap in her first international goal in her third cap.
Well, she absolutely took the NWSL by storm in her rookie year last year with the Washington Spirit, led that team to the NWSL Championship, was named the NWSL Rookie of the Year, best 11 selection, scored 7 goals, and you may have heard of her dad, Dennis Rodman, pretty famous in the NBA back in his day, but Trinity making a name for herself, just 19 years old. The future is bright. Trinity's path, an interesting one too, Julie, affected by COVID, was headed to Washington State to play in 2020, but with seasons being canceled and no opportunities, she said, well, I'm ready to take my chances.
Let's do it.
And go pro, and so she did. It's proving to have been a good decision thus far. Rodman also the 2021 U.S. Soccer Young Player of the Year.
And she's been able to make that leap seamlessly, which is so hard for a lot of players. I mean, it's a big jump where you hear so many players talk about how the NWSL, there's never an easy game. It's, as Alana Cook was saying, you know, in France when she was playing for PSG, it was, you know, 4 or 5 good games, or in college, 4 or 5 good games. But this is every game in the NWSL. And Rodman has just taken it by storm. Right away, you could see this kid is going to be just fine.
Exciting year in the NWSL, biggest ever, 12 teams for the first time ever, 10th year of the league. It's pretty tough when you start off your rookie season, you win it all, NWSL champion. We'll see what Trinity Rodman and her Spirit teammates do for an encore. Midge Purce, a best 11 selection with Gotham FC last season in the NWSL. We talk about the value of these matches. Obviously, getting, as Vlatko's talked about, time for certain groups together to understand tendencies and where they want to make the runs, how they want the ball, so important. But also you think about, you know, a young player like a Trinity Rodman and what these mean to her. Naomi Girma, Aubrey Kingsbury getting in goal. Just there's nothing like actually being out there to learn.
Yeah, and it is Uzbekistan. And yes, you want a more challenging game, but it's still minutes and it's still repetition and it's confidence. And that's really the hardest thing, I think, to build in a younger player, is the belief that they belong there, that there's confidence that I can play at this level. And these minutes are so valuable. It's why the staff has been so conscious of keeping that front 3 the same, trying to keep the front 5 the same.
There is Rodman again. Sanchez spun away from the goal. How would you rate Sanchez's performance tonight? She got the start, just her 7th cap international appearance with the U.S.
I like Ashley Sanchez a lot because just like you saw there, she can deal with tight spaces so well, solves pressure so well, gets out of it. She can have 2, 3, 4 players on her. I think the next level, of course, is now is she impacting games in a way that she's assisting, she's scoring goals, she's fighting defensively. Vlatko Andonovski talked about that was the one area he really wanted her to focus on, is her defensive presence in games. And he says, boy, has it grown so much in just the last few months.
I think he made it pretty clear that it had to for her to continue to have a spot in this team. Purce with a move into the area. O'Hara had a look at it. Kelly O'Hara, big time goal, game winner in overtime in the NWSL Championship last year. That was a much tougher goal than that one. Had a pretty wide open look here.
Again, though, the positioning of Tilanova, she's not going to get beaten near post, but she's also going to get just a deflection on that, and then she's able to get and cover her other post up and over. Purce trying to put enough pace on to get by her and squeeze one in there. And if that's one thing they're going to look at, I think, on film for this second half, is that decision making when you get to the end line, when you get around the corner, hasn't been as good as it was in the first half, or maybe not actually turning once they get around the corner and getting across that in line, bringing it in towards the goal. A lot of service from very wide and a little bit deeper.
U.S. maintaining that #1 world ranking. They held it for all of 2021, 6th year in a row to do that. But everybody out there knows, as proud as they are to bring home any type of Olympic medal, it was the wrong color medal at the Olympics in Tokyo, and they're trying to work to get better at that. These are a look at the goals tonight.
Mallory Pugh with that silky touch across. Then again, the deflection for Rose Lavelle. Look at this one, talking about silky. Recognizing that's my little gap, a cut. Spinning those defenders. Rose Lavelle's not gonna miss if you're not gonna step to her. And then Kat Macario just backing it up, 2-3 players. The back of the net, and then the 7th, Trinity Rodman with her first international goal in that 71st minute. And the only goal of this second half.
Ashley Sanchez has the distinction of being the first player ever to compete in 2 World Cups in the same year for the U.S. She did it in 2016, the U17 and U20 World Cups. Had a tremendous youth career, now trying to transition that over to the full senior team. Had her first goal on Saturday. Hurst getting some more time in the attack. Trying to make the most of it. Open for Rodman off the crossbar. O'Hara in the box. How did that shot from Rodman not find the back of the net? Be interested to see the bounce. No replay, no VAR in this match. We can look back at it though when we get a chance. Lovely setup from Purse. Rodman fights to win it back. Puerta with the overlapping run. Hatch pokes it back out.
I mean, Uzbekistan must be thinking, you bring in 3 new fresh legs on that front line. You bring in outside backs that continue to keep running at us. Attacking midfielder and Ashley Sanchez that won't stop running at us.
And then you say, but we've held them to 1 goal in the second half. Has there been anything you think, Julie, that Uzbekistan has done that has helped keep the U.S. off the scoreboard, or is it more what the U.S. is not doing?
I think they've been better about staying a little more compact, a little more organized, not so high, right? Obviously, U.S. is setting play a little bit higher up the field and having to do with this low block. I mean, before you were looking at 40 yards behind their back line of space. Now you're looking at maybe 20.
Purse again with the setup. Sanchez right at the penalty spot. And this is good for the U.S., right? To try to figure out how to play through this. They're going to see this inevitably.
Yeah, actually, Vlatko Andonovski says, I hope they don't have such a high line because it's way too easy for us to break down. We need the practice of a little bit lower block, them sitting back in a little bit more. But when they do get stuck higher, you see the damage, and Midge Purce taking them on as she did. Trinity Rodman getting around as she can.
Rodman already with one, her first international goal. What a setup there for Sanchez. Like the idea.
Here is that Midge Purce goal. Sorry, attack earlier. Good seam. And there's your off the crossbar, clearly not in the goal, but talk about them not being as accurate in the second half. That was a great seam that Midge Purce found. Faced up, took on, got in line, cut across, finds the seam. Rodman just can't quite finish that one off, and that's one you look at and go, I could have had two in my third cap. I could have almost equaled my caps.
Oh, crunching tackle takes Huerta out. And that'll be a card, deservedly so. Nazima Kamaltoeva, guilty party.
Looks like she got up just in time. That is the key. Still gets hit, but you do not want to be planted when those tackles are coming in. Get up and off the ground. Good to see Huerta back up and running.
Had it been Kat Macario, most of the set pieces, free kicks anyway, in the first half. Let's see what Kristie Mewis can do. Looking for Hatch. Headed by Rodman, still there, goal, Purce!
Third goal for Midge Purce. This has been a problem all night for Uzbekistan. They can't pick it up. The first ball, second ball, they can't clear it. And when you're not clearing balls in that situation, there is gonna be a player that's gonna punish you for that. And that's exactly what happens to Uzbekistan. Midge Purce there to pick it up for her third career goal.
All of those moments, those goals mean so much to these players fighting for time, trying to make it onto that qualifying roster for CONCACAF come July.
I have to tell you a great Midge Purce story.
I would love to hear it.
I don't know if she'll love me for this.
Even better.
We were at the White House last
okay. We're just
2 weeks away. We're just going to give a White House story.
Okay.
We were at the White House 2 weeks ago for that equal pay event with President Biden and Kamala Harris and Dr. Jill Biden, the First Lady, of course. And we're on the front lawn, and they wanted us to do these like little media things of like juggling the ball. Well, Midge Purce shows up in this gorgeous black dress.
I
right?
saw the pictures.
I was
yes.
like, damn, sister, look at you, right? And I said, you better be careful with juggling.
Sanchez, Rodman, hold that thought. Let's see what the youngsters can do.
So I said, you better be careful with that juggling. And mind you, she was juggling with the old bags. It was the 99ers. It was me, Bryce Curry, who's a goalkeeper. She can't juggle.
Oh,
right?
come on.
Cindy Parlow. So we're juggling on the lawn. She, of course, gets all excited. She reaches for a ball. The entire back of her dress goes.
You warned her.
And there we are on the front lawn of the White House going, who's got safety pins? And this wonderful woman goes, we've got a tailor here at the White House. We could just take her to the tailor. And we're like, oh yeah, right. I literally was like ready to safety pin her up.
I know you were, because that's a good teammate right there. Tack still coming. Rodman, open goal. Mewis.
So for the rest of the day, we're like, sister, you just couldn't hang with the 99ers, I guess.
Too fancy. That's what got her in trouble. O'Hara Tantalizing ball, purse in the vicinity. Puerta. Hatch. Not quite.
Puerta been so busy on that right-hand side, finds a little gap. I think Hatch was caught between two minds there, whether she wanted to crank it in a side volley and then changed her mind at the end. I think she might have had a go with that.
We've got MLS for you April 23rd. Look ahead in your calendar when Minnesota United welcomes the Chicago Fire to St. Paul. Coverage begins at 5 p.m. Eastern on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and the ESPN app. And that is April 23rd for that one. That'll go out for a corner. So perhaps a little more to come here in this dying minutes of the match. Your last chance to see the U.S. in action until June. A couple of friendlies still waiting to hear officially who they will be taking on and the official locations for those matches. And then after that, it is off to Mexico for CONCACAF qualifying for both the World Cup in 2023 and the Olympics 2024. Puerta thought she had something. We'll get another try at it. Crowd still making noise. Treated to 8 goals by the U.S. tonight. A shutout so far, something the U.S. did not get in their first match. Sanchez snuck it in! For the second straight match, Ashley Sanchez scores in the 90th minute for the U.S.
Keeping it alive. She's on that back post wide open. Actually mishits it a little bit, but the pressure from Dahlkemper, I think, helps. She's following that one in. There in case. And Hatch. You can see a little giggle that came off her because she's like, I don't know about that one, but I'll take it. It all counts the same. It all counts the same. You surely take it.
ESPN's coverage of U.S. soccer presented by Volkswagen, and the final whistle has sounded. One more goal from Ashley Sanchez to make our scoreline 9-0. The final tonight from Subaru Park in Chester, Pennsylvania. So the U.S. victorious in both matches against Uzbekistan. We will come back, wrap things up here from Chester in a moment. But the U.S. getting 9 goals tonight and the shutout on the defensive end. The signature match on the Bundesliga calendar, live on ABC and ESPN Plus on April 23rd at noon Eastern. It's Der Klassiker between first place Bayern Munich, second place Borussia Dortmund. Coverage begins at 11:30 a.m. on ESPN Plus. The U.S. women celebrating a victory tonight, celebrating a couple of firsts as well. First goal for Trinity Rodman, first appearance for Aubrey Kingsbury in goal, and Rose Lavelle, a couple of goals for her team tonight. She joins us now. Rose, congratulations. Did you guys get what you wanted out of this match?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to face teams that sit in a low block in qualifiers, so I do think this is a good test for that. And yeah, I think we had a lot of firsts, which was really exciting. Nay's first cap, Aubrey's first cap, Trin's first goal. So I think there's a lot of things to be really happy about.
Rose, when you look at this team and the youth, of course, of this team, what are you most excited about going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very young, but I also think it's very, very talented. And I think it's been really fun so far, and I know we're just going to keep getting better the more time we have together.
How'd it feel wearing that captain's armband?
That was very, very nice of Vladko to give me. I was very honored.
Well, by the way, I don't know if you've seen it. We just saw a great sign out in the crowd. I don't know. Somebody's making some requests. They said, Rose, I'd like to be in your shoes right someday. But for now, I would lavelle your jersey.
Oh, right?
Wow, yeah, that's really creative. Yeah. I didn't see that, but I'll try to find that.
You go sign that. Rose, you sign that. We're showing your 2 goals right now. When you look at these next few months for the team as well, and especially for that front 5 and the consistency you've had with that front 5. Say Horan is back in the mix, or if Horan isn't, you have Sanchez. What is it about this team that can set you apart come July?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have a lot of different weapons and a lot of different people who can step up in big moments. And like I said, I think the more time we get, the more fun it's going to be and the more we're going to be able to connect. And yeah, I think there's like so many different people that we can go to step up in a big moment. And I think it's going to be a really fun time for us.
Well, Rose, got the win tonight. Couple of goals, couple of firsts for your teammates. Congrats.
Captain Lavelle.
Captain Lavelle.
Got a nice ring to it.
All right, we thank Rose for joining us, and we will take a look back. Are you ready? Settle in. 9 goals to look back on, and it started in the opening seconds of this one.
25.1 seconds in to be exact. Rose Lavelle doing her thing, creating that. Then it's Kat Macario on the set piece, clanks it off the post. A little cheeky back flick to Mal Pugh for the 3rd. And then Mal again getting around the corner. It doesn't quite get there. Rose with a little chip for the 4th. What a nice finish that was.
She wasn't done. 2 minutes later, Rose Lavelle on it again, making the defenders miss. Goals 2 minutes apart for Rose Lavelle.
And you can see just so much time on the ball in the first half for Rose Lavelle. And this is where Macario is so good. Uzbekistan with 3 players on her, still can't contain her. Trinity Rodman with her first international goal. That was the first of the second half. Almost getting another one here, but Midge Purse on the end of that one with the misclear by Uzbekistan, and then Sanchez with the miss hit. Abby Dahlkemper there to make sure it gets in, and that's 9-0 for the United States tonight.
Still look pretty, miss hit or no, and it is 9 goals in back-to-back matches for the U.S. First time since 2012. All right, I asked Rose, I'll ask you, Julie, quickly. Did you see what you needed or wanted to see from the U.S. tonight?
Look, 18 goals. They only conceded 1. They're going to be not happy about that one for sure. But 18 goals. I think we had 9 different goal scorers. I think this is exactly, when you have an opponent like this, you want to get minutes, you want to get confidence, you want to get time together. That was all accomplished. And especially with that front 5, I think that's where they're going to be most pleased, is seeing that start to click.
Coming up next, we got the G League Finals, Sunday MLS action, LAFC Sporting Kansas City. For Carly Lloyd, Julie Foudy, I'm Jen Hildreth. It's been fun. Final score 9-0 US. This has been a presentation of ESPN.